Hello and welcome back to my walkthrough to Final Fantasy 15. We are here in Altissia, in the middle
Guess we need to go talk to Camellia.
of Chapter 9.
Like we have any other option.
There's no
And it
telling
is-
how events will unfold. Let us prepare before making our way.
Yeah, she can sit tight a while.
So as they say, we're going to actually sort of make her wait for a little longer before actually sort of sorting everything out. There's a reason for that. First of all, we're actually going to head over to Margot's initially. I think actually makes sense for us to cash in the hunts that we did because we're not going to get the chance to for a pretty long time otherwise. So
Fantastic.
that's
Call when you need a ride back.
well worth us doing. Also allows us to take out another
look who it
meal, I
is.
think.
Made it back in one piece, eh?
So we should get a nice variety of rewards here.
Looks like that monster was no match for you lot.
And if we have 20,000 gil on hand, we could then also potentially buy
Made it back in
The-
one piece, eh?
the remaining decals for the regalia from the vendor just outside the Laville.
Looks like that monster was no match for you lot.
And we get ourselves a Heliodor bracelet, which I think we did not have previously.
Feeling a bit peckish, lads?
At least we didn't get it in game. We might have one in our
can recommend
inventory,
anything
but
on
it
the
doesn't
menu.
actually necessarily mean that we earned it in game. What it may well mean is that we got it
Just a moment then, lads.
through one of like the sort of side things, like as a gift
Here
from
it comes.
finding it somewhere else. In terms of like the Mukul Chocobo Carnival or the Assassin's Festival, stuff like that. Anyway, so we have the Fatini Discernia, which gives us a nice little, some nice boosts there. And once more, Inkness is going to get another recipe. So two Margot's items and 2 recipes. That's excellent
You're
from
always
that.
welcome here.
We haven't increased our hunting level, so I'm assuming we can't get another.
So, care to take a cruise?
I am assuming that we will not be able to get anything different in terms of hunts. So obviously we could head round to let's go to Old Gobernant's boat just to see what he has. And then what we'll eventually try and do is ensure that we're in a position to talk to Camellia and actually go
Have a
through.
good look.
Oh, is it just the? Oh no, it's not. So yeah, some different things. Sort of most of these are freely you can find these, but there is an Iron Shelf Recipes Volume 5, which is well worth us purchasing.
Come back
So
anytime.
glad we found that.
That's it.
What's up, Iggy?
I've come up with a new recipe.
I can taste test for you.
And again, another useful thing as to why we should always check most of the, as why you should check most of the shops and stuff like that. So what we can now do is we can skip this ride and make our way over to the Ministerial Quarter, which should then
Gentlemen,
lead
it's
us
been a
to the capacity to talk to Camellia and begin the negotiation. Still, we got to walk away, so I think we've got to head up this way and make our way over there. You can see it's located up there, so is there a way to climb up from here? I feel like we might need to go. Oh no, there is. Okay, good. Wasn't absolutely certain there, but thankfully there is a way around. Oh, it's behind this guy, this terrible, terrible guard. And then what we can do is we can approach the secretary's things. So as we can see, once the negotiation begins, you will be unable to return to the city. Are you certain you wish to continue? Yes, we are. Okay, so the Corda Protectorate, an island nation known for the beauty of its waterbound capital, Altissia, though annexed by the Empire in the war 150 years ago, something, something, something.
Thank you for coming.
Okay, so negotiation is about to begin with First Secretary Claustra. Engage her in a manner befitting a king and strive to win her trust and cooperation. The idea here is that we're going to get lots and lots of different sort of dialogue options. Each dialogue option has a sort of points score associated with it, and the total number of points you have by the end of the negotiation tells you how many is essentially what reward you get. The reward, you might be wondering, is Oracle Ascension coins. You can get a minimum of 1 and a maximum of 4, and it's all about how many points you earn depending on what sort of responses you give. I'm going to go through the ideal response, but I'll also sort of talk about everything. You can very easily get more than the points required. I did not go through like any sort of a walkthrough before doing this. So the first one is express gratitude. This gets us 3 points.
Thanks for coming to greet us in person.
It's the least I could do for a king. Wescombe didn't extend me an invitation, so I decided to extend my own. Though circumstances have changed, both the king and the oracle are finally in Altissia.
You said that you have Luna in your care.
So, in this case, you want to show concern for Accordo.
Doesn't that pose a risk to your nation?
Is the king concerned for our relations with the Empire? But it's true. The Oracle is a risk, one we are prepared to shed with. Whether we do so depends on you. Now, let me ask some questions of my own. Why does the Oracle seek to awaken the Hydrian?
Here we want to go be truthful.
She wants to forge a covenant so I can receive Leviathan's blessing.
The answer I wanted to hear. And yet, king or not, it can't be a simple affair for you to receive a god's blessing. Let me be frank. The potential chaos worries me. You know better than most what took place in Lucis with the Archean. Tell me, what happened?
Again, be truthful.
I met Titan, and he gave me his power.
Just like the legends, though the Empire doesn't like the way the story goes. Even as we speak, they mobilize their forces. It seems there's no avoiding chaos. It will most likely come to war. However, I don't care to host a battle on my soil. The gods and the Empire be damned.
So now you can choose any one of these. Any one of these is fine.
Not much you can do when it comes to gods.
You'd suggest I accept my city's destruction?
So in this case, you would want to be positive in order to maximize the points you can get from this particular route.
Just
Essentially,
protect everything.
Wishful thinking. We must be realistic and discuss what we can and cannot do. Without further ado, let us talk terms. If you wish to hold the right, you must ensure my citizens' safety and aid in their evacuation.
so the one that I said didn't matter essentially gave you, each one would then go onto a separate line, which would then also give you essentially the chance for points. In this case, you want to suggest, you want to agree to help evacuate.
All
You
right,
ran out of time.
I'll do as you ask.
I'm pleased to hear it. As long as the people's safety is assured, I have no qualms with your right. And that is not all. Once the rite has begun, I will not be accountable for what follows. You are on your own.
Should be confident.
Not a problem. We know how to take care of ourselves.
Thank you. I'm sorry we cannot do more. But as I'm sure you are aware, few armies can stand against the might of the Imperial fleet. That is all for the terms. To review, you are to ensure our citizens' safety and engage the Empire. Do we have an agreement?
You agree amicably? Respond pompously.
All right. Let's fight together as allies.
Allies? Such a vote of confidence. Well, you can trust us to do our part and keep the Oracle safe. A final warning, though I doubt it'll come to it. My duty is to my citizens. Should any harm befall them, there will be a reckoning for both King and Oracle.
So in this case, again, you have the choice of choosing any of them with the chance of increasing the number of points you get. So for example, here I'm going to choose Return the Threat.
There'll be a reckoning for you, too.
A leader must know when to bring out the steel. Surely you understand this.
And in this case, you can either show understanding or put up a strong front. Both of them give the same number of points.
Yeah, I think I get it.
Yet getting is not the same as accepting. Still so young, and still so much to learn.
Madam, it's time.
Assign 3 of your own for the evacuation effort. Whom you choose is up to you. According to our intel, the Imperial fleet will be 4 warships strong. Steel yourselves for a full-scale battle. I'm glad we could talk. We can each act in our own interest to our mutual benefit.
So there we go. The Noctis won the First Secretary's unreserved trust, which means that we get all 4 Oracle Ascension coins. I think the total there we would have got in terms of points was way above the 19 that you need. Generally, again, obviously it's a few Oracle Ascension coins. It doesn't actually matter. You can go through however you see fit. You can be as rude as possible, frankly, and she'll still agree, you know.
I can't promise something I can't help.
Of course. You certainly opened up to them, though.
What can I say? I have a soft spot for the young and tragic. They've lost Regis. They've lost the crystal. Was it so long ago the last oracle was taken from them? We've seen the Empire go mad these 10-odd years.
So there we go. The Day of the Right.
During the Rite, we must see to it the Empire does not harass Leviathan.
Gonna be tough to pull off before the king receives her power.
And with 3 of us on evacuation detail.
Indeed, the best we can realistically do is to help the Hydrian help herself.
What kind of help you talking about?
Just like Titan, the Empire will seek to immobilize Leviathan.
Ah, with the harpoon things?
If we can dislodge them from the goddess, she will have a fighting chance.
Sounds good in theory, but don't push it. It's pointless, unless you can get that blessing.
Stay flexible, stay alert.
All right, will do.
So we make our way over to the plaza once more, or the Parco Listro. And then continue onwards. So, Luna Freya, Nox Fleuret. Though Noctis and Luna Freya have not met in 12 years since the Imperial conquest of Tenebrae, they've maintained a correspondence all the while by means of a notebook
If worse comes to worse, you
passed
can
back
threaten
and
to
forth.
throw the trident into the sea. Then they'll listen. In the meantime, it will be well guarded. Better than the Oracle herself.
Understood. I shall reclaim it at the altar.
Remember, you'll be under Imperial watch.
Right.
Think of it as a necessary evil in order to forge the Covenant.
I am in your debt.
Once it's over, you may go as you please. But you do so without our protection.
So be it.
You'd better get going. Your public is waiting for you.
So there's the final bit of the Accordo Protectorate, though annexed in the Empire, but though annexed by the Empire in the war 150 years ago, it retains its own government, which is the important thing, I guess, for Noctis and everyone else involved. Is such a beautiful place when you look at it like that. So, as we see, Luna is making her way. We're going to get a fair few cutscenes and then a pretty long action sequence. Hopefully we'll be able to finish off this sequence before the end of the episode.
Noct, you in position?
Yep.
Don't forget the plan.
You guys too?
Of course.
So we start here on the
What about a
outskirts,
crowd?
and
Like the
we
whole
can try
city's gonna
and make
watch.
our way through the crowd, or start.
Dear friends, I stand before you today. With little hope the words I speak shall reach beyond these walls. For slowly but surely the light fades from our world, and as it does, the shadows shall loom ever longer until all succumbs to the darkness. Darkness that evokes terror, hatred, and sorrow in the hearts of men. The ashes of Lucis. A dream of peace, twisted into a nightmare of death and destruction, claiming innumerable lives and leaving myriad souls to suffer.
Luna.
Yet I beg you, do not surrender to despair. Have faith, for our gods watch over us. By their blessings, by the stars that light the heavens above, our world will be delivered from the perils of the dark. I stand before you here in Altissia to call upon Leviathan, goddess of the seas, spirit of the deep. By the sacred rite, I will commune with the Hydrian. But first, I offer you my solemn vow. On my honor as Oracle, I will not rest until the darkness is banished from our world and the light is restored. Bless you all.
So there we have it. Quite powerful statements there made by Luna.
Noct, the Empire's here.
I can see him.
Dropships are closing in on the port. Look for a vantage point to approach them.
Okay, look after the citizens.
We got them covered.
So, it begins.
So here we go. We've got to confront the Empire before our eventual confrontation with Leviathan. And as we've seen previously with different gods and the different members of the Hexathean, they have very differing sort of impressions on humans. And who are we to say that she will be generous in her offering to us? Will give us her blessing in a way that isn't so confrontational. Such a, obviously we had Titan who fought us, tried to punch us into the ground, and then there was Rama who was far less aggressive, as it were.
It is I, Lunafreya, blood of the Oracle. Goddess of the seas, I beseech you, enter into this covenant that the king might reclaim the stone. I do.
Noct, the Hydran has awoken.
Civilians?
Almost there. We'll join you when we're done. The Empire has the Hydran surrounded. Hurry, Noct.
I'm on it.
Then the right's already begun.
Most likely.
Time to lend the Hydran a hand.
Oh, Leviathan just looks so freaking awesome. Sorry, I was busy sort of conquering that battle there.
Let's do this.
Now all of these guys are pretty damn weak, so we should be able to pretty much zip through most of these battles. As you can see, they're only like level 16. So to finish off these last few snipers, there is the Hydra.
I know what you must know. That the King of Kings is to drive the darkness from our star. It is in receiving mercy that men offer praise, and in shedding grace that the gods solicit worship. I vow, the king will prove himself worthy.
Noct, Prompto's headed your way.
Oh, it's just so
What about
cool.
you guys?
We'll wait below. There's only room for two.
not! Jump!
What?
No time for questions!
I'm assuming this is not where we jump. Where do we jump from? Here we go. Okay. I just managed to move too fast.
Man. Ah! What is this?
New ride we borrowed from the Nifs. This will get us in close.
Serious?
Here she comes!
I got this.
I'll get as close as I can. Then it's up to you.
All right. Won't be long. Hey, nice job finding this baby.
The moment I saw her, I knew we'd go places. Not again!
Not making this easy.
Not. Hold on tight! Dude! Don't let go!
Heads up!
Locked! Can you reach?
So you can either request or demand her power. Let's go for the demand.
Hey! Your power! Give it up! Don't you understand? I'm the king! So, you want to do this the hard way? Fine!
So as you can see, doing the choices there, actually, I completely forgot, but doing those choices, the ones that I chose there, means that Leviathan will be slightly tougher in what's to come. But what's different is that you also obviously get the AP. And we love ourselves some AP, so...
So the only way you'll help me is if I take you down?
So here starts a pretty ludicrous battle, where essentially we point warp to various locations.
Now, about that ring. On second thought, you let him have it. And do remind him about the crystal.
Oh, Prince, your bride awaits!
I will pass the ring to the rightful king. When the prophecy is fulfilled, all enthralled to darkness shall know peace.
you've just got to love, hate Arden. Oh my god, that scene is just brutal. And now the real battle with Leviathan can begin. So, essentially, we now are obviously fully powered up in terms of our Armada, and we are doing huge amounts. That health bar is melting, actually. So obviously, you just want to essentially keep moving around as much as possible, keep dodging any attacks that Leviathan may go for. It is a spectacular scene as you just see the entire city of Altissia just get ripped up from underneath. You wonder how, like, anyone at all can survive this sort of flood. As we continue to do stupid amounts of damage. I think our boost is certainly helping, our food boost and everything is certainly helping here in terms of the amount of damage we're doing. There we go. Is that everything? Leviathan is vulnerable. We can get a break on. Break all, I think we have to break all of her wings. It's just such a spectacular battle, I'm going to be honest. This battle just took my breath away the first time I did it. It is ridiculously cool. And yes, there are quick time events, and yes, you know, a lot of it isn't necessarily using a lot of the skills that you've sort of been learning through the rest of the game. But as a pure spectacle, just wow. I can tell you for sure that the first time I did that battle took a hell of a lot longer because we probably weren't as high a level as I am right now, and we definitely didn't have the buff to the amount of attack we were doing because we were doing stupid amounts of damage.
It's done.
Noctis?
Luna?
So, you found your way here.
And you found me.
A chance to see you once more. Who would have thought?
Well, what do you mean? Why wouldn't you see me?
Because my prayers have been answered. my calling fulfilled.
But that doesn't have to come between us.
You are the one, Noctis. The stars shine for you now. That which is yours by right shall be restored to you. Do you remember the flowers of Tenebrae? It seems so long ago. You'll find they await you still, blooming from hill to vale.
Will you be there?
Would that I could join you. But this moment will have to be enough.
It's not right. All I wanted was to save you.
When the world falls down around you and hope is lost. When you find yourself alone amid a lightless place. Look to the distance. Know that I am there. And that I watch over you always. Farewell, dear Noctis.
Back with us. I'll tell the others. Though it may take a bit.
You're hurt.
Ah, small sacrifice in the greater battle.
And Luna?
She has passed. Umbra left that for you.
I find those last few scenes that's quite powerful, actually, you know. I'm surprised that the entire city is still somewhat, you know, intact, it seems, after that such an immense battle. But you know, I think there are a few people who had a lot of criticisms about what happens, especially in the next chapter and sort of how things go. But I found it really, really well done and really quite impressive in a lot of ways. As you see, we finish chapter 9, which means it's going to be the end of this episode, the end of this sequence of events. It's just brutal, and you see Noctis just fall apart. And I guess the way I know a lot of other people didn't see it like that, and they didn't see Luna's death as nearly as important, because they didn't feel like she had nearly enough screen time to be able to actually exert a presence on the game and actually have they didn't feel like the game had earned this moment. And I get that. I appreciate what they say, and I appreciate that sort of view, because I can see where they're coming from. But the idea that I always have of these two sort of, you could call it headcanon, I guess, but these two these young people who have fallen in love and have managed to have fallen in love through the process of keeping contact for so long via the passing of messages with Umbra and such. And they finally get this, and he's been so focused on this, she was always his goal in this game. It wasn't to, be the king of lore. It wasn't to fulfill a prophecy. He just wanted to save her. And I think you even, I think you really see that in a lot of his interactions. He's immediately worried when he finds out that she's communing with the gods and what it means, and the threat that it holds to her. And we follow her. She is almost, everything that she's been doing is sort of like the lead, that's sort of leading us towards it. And in many ways, he's always seen her like that. She taught him so much when they were in Tenebrae together. And I think you sort of see that in their interactions, and even in that last scene where she becomes an adult in front of him when he's still a child, and he still hasn't realized what this means and everything that it comes to within him and how it's going to change everything about what happens next. And I really enjoy it. I think it's a really interesting tale. I think it's a really powerful message. I think it's tragic in a lot of ways, and you want them to have sort of had the chance, and they just will never have that chance again. That one time when they finally sort of, get the chance to sort of be together, and it has to end so brutally. And at Arden's hand, what a way for Arden to then give impetus to Noctis and to actually drive him towards it. And in many ways, that's why I don't mind the fact that the game becomes very linear towards the end, because it seems like it should be far more linear now. It seems like there shouldn't be a side goal. It should be get stronger, get to Arden, and take care of him, because frankly he's taken everything away from Noctis right now. So why on earth wouldn't he want to just rip the guy's head from his neck? And so the linearity sort of makes sense. I appreciate the linearity to beforehand. The non-linearity beforehand doesn't really make sense. And I've spoken to some big friends, some good friends of mine who are big Final Fantasy fans, and they have differing views, far less positive views on the game than I do, and that's obviously interesting because it gives the chance for debate and talking about the game, and that's all I like. I just love being able to talk about these games that I love, and that's why I do this channel and stuff like that. But he made a really interesting idea where, let's say, you start off in Insomnia at the start of the game, and essentially the wedding is still to be planned, but in many ways the king has been a recluse. He hasn't necessarily if you rewrote the story such that Noctis hadn't really been seen much in the public eye, and then the first half of the game is him essentially going forth, exploring the lands, probably still looking for the Royal Arms. I think that's an important side part to the story, but also, looking for essentially increasing his public presence, talking with the people of his land, and actually, showing them who he's going to be, and showing them who the future king is going to be. Because in many ways, this marriage, he's the unknown relative to Lunafreya, who has already garnered this sort of much loved public persona because of her acts of kindness and how she is. I think that would be quite a nice sort of start to the game, and sort of explains why we would be doing side quests that can be quite sort of menial tasks, tasks that you don't really feel, why is the king doing this? But it would also maybe explain why the king isn't as well known, potentially, and stuff like that. And then the game goes into overdrive when the attack on Insomnia happens. The attack on Insomnia happens like halfway through the game, or at the point at which the game then becomes very linear, and then we sort of go through event after event after event on a long sort of roller coaster ride, and the sort of bizarreness of the non-linearity, because even though the game is non-linear, it still wants to be linear. You can tell because it locks you off from certain areas. It doesn't want you just disappearing off out of the Vesper Pool when you're meant to be doing the Staylift Grove quest. It doesn't want you leaving Duscae when you need to be dealing with Rama. And so there are certainly places where the game itself is acknowledging the fact that this isn't helping the story. And so maybe reworking the story itself such that it then feeds into the idea of non-linearity or linearity in the game actually really works. Because ultimately for me, I think this next section where we start becoming linear actually works, because it does feel like it gives the game a right rocket up the arse, such that we really start getting going with the story. And maybe that sort of effect would have had a really nice, would have actually done wonders for the start of the game and what other people feel. But ultimately, I love the game. I think that cutscene is still brutal, and the next few chapters are some of my favorite in the game. So I'm very much looking forward to it. So we've got a few more photos to save through, and then we will be off. We'll take that one of those. One of the shaking of the hands, one of Leviathan, and then next we move on to... Okay, so there may well be a cutscene here. If there is, as we see Chapter 10, the heart of a king across the water and onto the rails. The royal retinue makes for Gralia, the imperial capital. Their objective, reclaiming the crystal, that they might reclaim their homeland. However, the ring's weight proves too much for Noctis to bear. And with that in mind, we will call this episode to an end. I hope you have enjoyed this episode, my walkthrough to Final Fantasy XV. I hope you will join me on the next.